Hey, oh, hey, oh. Welcome to Reclaim Within. I'm Ash. This is a space where I like to explore the sacredness of life and reclaiming our inner world. To be able to have a sacred space for us to discuss the wisdom that lives inside of each of us, inside every breath, every feeling, and every choice that we make. I'm really excited about today's newsletter, or this week's newsletter, and today's episode. We're going to be talking all about emotions and not just what they are, but actually how to work with them. This is something that I have been exploring now for quite a long time in my own lived experience, education. And when I started to really feel like an expert in this topic of emotions, when I really started to learn how to be the expert, is when I learned how to stop being so swept away by them and instead learning to use emotions as tools and as guideposts and as beautiful guides to actually living consciously. Emotions can, when we learn to use them as tools, be guides for how we can actually live more conscious. It is an art form. Navigating emotions with conscious awareness is truly an art form. It is something that is constantly evolving and shifting inside of your own being. And it's something that only you can do for yourself, because quite literally nobody else can understand or is having the same emotional experience as you are. So you're the one that has to become the expert of your own emotional landscape. It's so worth it though, because emotions are powerful. They shape our perceptions, they color our memories, and they actually are guiding our decisions. One of my favorite, most comical things is when people tell me, oh, I'm making logical decisions. I'm being logical. Unless you are purely looking at statistical data only. And even then, I would question what that emotional data does for you emotionally, that you think that that's what you need. I don't know. That's a rabbit hole. I'm not going to go on that rabbit hole, actually. Rewind. We will use emotions to dictate how we believe logic goes. But at the end of the day, everything is our own interpretation. So what is logical to one person might be completely illogical to another. That's why it's so important to actually understand our emotional landscapes. And emotions truly are like the wind. Sometimes they can be really gentle and guiding. Sometimes they're gusty and wild. Depending on the person and depending on your inheritance, your bloodline, you might have more fiery emotional landscape, or you might actually have a more soft, subtle emotional landscape. Emotions can propel us forward. They can also pull us really far off course. The trouble is, and this is what I witness with so many clients, and to be completely fair, I was this person for a very long time. The trouble is that many of us live at the mercy of our emotions. We are being driven by them. We're like passengers in our own lives, watching our reactions consistently take the wheel, feeling out of control, confused, or even ashamed by how strong something feels. That was me for a really long time. But here is the truth. Emotions are actually not meant to control us. They truly are here to serve us. They are messengers, not masters. They are just tools that we actually have to remember how to use. So here's the question that I believe can change everything. Asking yourself, who is in the driver's seat of your life? Is it you? Is it your wise, grounded, conscious self energy? Or is it the emotion of fear? Is it unprocessed anger? Is it unfelt grief? Is a childhood wound driving your relationships? An old story could be steering your decisions. Imagine boarding a plane and realizing that your pilot is unconscious. Terrifying. Completely terrifying. But what's wild is that a lot of us do this all the time. Letting unconscious emotional currents completely steer our days, our choices, and our relationships. If we want to reclaim within and reclaim our power, we have to wake up the driver. We have to wake up the pilot. We have to sit in the seat and put our hands on the wheel, our self energy at the wheel, and choose to actually be the guides to our own emotional experience and bring in awareness and bring in compassion and bring in love. The thing is that emotions really aren't random. They really aren't. They speak in symbols, in body sensations, in patterns. Each emotional experience that you're having is actually telling a story. Here's what I mean. Anger, oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes, is either a boundary that is being crossed, or it's a place where you need to learn to put a boundary so that anger doesn't get triggered. Sadness might hold grief that you're actually not letting yourself fully feel. Or also, sadness can tend to point towards an ache of where you're not letting go, where you're not surrendering totally. So sadness is trying to signal you to allow for yourself to grieve and let go. Anxiety could be pointing to uncertainty. Or it could be pointing to you feeling like you're actually outside of your comfort zone. Fear is an interesting one. It tends to actually, strangely, if you go deep enough, show you what you really, really want. So like if you're afraid of someone you love getting hurt, it's actually because you love them so much and you want wellness for them, but it comes out contorted or distorted through fear. So with fear, we usually have to kind of search a little bit further below the line to find what it is that you're actually desiring that's coming out fearful. The example I like to use is if you're getting chased by a panther, you're going to be afraid. But really underneath it, it's because you want to live. Yeah, sure, you're afraid because you're afraid that you're going to die, but you're only afraid that you're going to die because you actually would like to live. Really, fear is an interesting place that we can learn from. Joy is an emotion. Joy tells us when we're in alignment, when we are really connected to our purpose or to our flow. The key with all of these emotions and beyond is to get curious. It's always curiosity. What is this feeling trying to tell me? What story is this carrying? Why do I keep feeling so sad? What have I not let myself feel? What have I not let myself grieve? Or if I've met someone who did not let themselves feel joy. And it was so interesting. It was because joy wasn't a safe emotion to feel. You had to be in a survival place to belong in their family upbringing. So joy wasn't something they would allow themselves, but they had to actually be able to understand what the story was that was being carried and not letting themselves feel that way. Whenever we listen with reverence to what these emotional experiences are attempting to share with us, then they become these sacred understandings and not problems to fix. They actually give us deeper clues into our connection with ourselves and our connection with the people around us that we love. And once we actually can truly understand or receive the messages, we then get to choose how we show up in our lives to these emotions. And that's actually where the true power lives, is in the choice of how to actually interact with the emotions versus suppressing them or craving them or shaming them. So what if every single emotion, even the most uncomfortable ones that you can possibly imagine, were just gateways to your growth? Fear showing you where you're still protecting an old version of yourself, but really what you want is to step into that next step. Anger could reveal where your truth has been silenced in the past so that you can step into being able to speak your truth more clearly. Joy can guide you home to what really matters the most to you. And when we use these emotions as tools and as guides, we can completely transform them from something reactive or something we avoid to something really creative, really something exciting almost. Even the harsh ones, even the ones that you're like, no, I do not want to feel that, can actually be these beautiful creative portals. And that doesn't mean bypassing them or sugarcoating them or going through the process to fix anything. It means just allowing them to be information rather than over-identifying with them. They're not your identity. You are not your fear. You are not your grief. You are not your anger. You are, however, the one in relationship with those emotions. So it's best to be able to learn to listen and to evolve with them in relational awareness. Okay, how do you actually do this? It actually always all goes back to awareness. It always starts with awareness. And what's great is awareness is 50% of any process is awareness. So noticing the sensations in your body, just becoming aware of them. Name what you feel. And attempting to name what you feel without judgment can be difficult at first. So for example, for me, anger was really hard to connect to for a long time. And it was really hard for me to feel angry without getting very judgmental about myself. It took a lot of practice to not jump from I'm angry to what's wrong with me that I'm angry. So it can take a while, just putting it out there. But really, it's been such an amazing teacher to find that anger, because boundaries have truly helped change my whole life. And anger has really helped me learn where I need to have a boundary or where I could have put a boundary earlier. Whatever you're feeling, whether it's anger or grief or joy or confusion's a good one, bringing that mindful awareness to it will really help. Journaling can be really lovely as well, or honestly, just pausing and asking yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? A lot of us didn't get mirrored appropriately when we were younger, so we don't always even think to ask ourselves how we're feeling or what we're doing or how we're doing. Just that practice of what am I feeling right now? How am I doing? Just ask yourself that 5 times a day. Put a reminder in your phone to pause and ask yourself that. It can be super life-changing for some of us to ask ourselves those questions. Once you identify what it is that you're feeling, then you want to be able to interact with that emotion, meaning you've now uncovered however it is you're feeling in the moment. You don't want to go to suppressing it or denying it or sugarcoating it again. You actually want to be able to choose how you respond to that. So how would you want someone else to respond to whatever emotion is coming up inside of you? Or how would you want to respond to someone that you loved so, so much if they have that emotion coming up? And that might look like taking a breath before you respond to anyone, or asking for a minute to walk away, put your feet on the ground and just ground yourself before you are able to tend to the emotion that's there, or just expression can really help. If you're feeling an emotion that feels overwhelming or you don't know how to tend to it, instead of avoiding the emotion or shying away from it or shutting down, you can speak up. You could record your own voice talking to yourself about the emotion. You could call a friend. Hey, I'm having this big emotion come up. I don't really know what to do about it, but can I share with you? Just having someone being able to mirror back to you how you're feeling and what you're feeling can really help you not avoid the emotional experience and start to learn from it. Start to become the alchemist and transform your relationship to these emotions so they can teach you more about what's going on inside, within. So this whole entire practice actually comes down to choice. You can choose to be driven by your emotions, to let those waves toss you in every direction, or you can choose to learn through practice how to navigate those waves, how to ride them with awareness, with grace, with inner authority. And yes, it takes courage, and yes, it takes practice, and it takes a lot of self-care, self-love, compassion, which can be difficult if you don't value that. For me, it took me a while to even just value myself, but it can be done. A practice could be just reminding yourself, I deserve to live from presence. I deserve to live in peace, not reactivity. Even if you don't believe it at first, just using a mantra like that can really help move the needle forward. And when we make that choice to matter, to care for yourself, to nurture yourself, to choose presence, to choose to respond to life versus react to life, that's how we change our lives. That's how we change our relationship to the emotional experience that we're having and really be grateful for all the information that is coming in all the time. And no, the emotions will not disappear, but you won't be ruled by them any longer. And you'll be the conscious driver. You'll be the person in that driving seat. And you'll get to learn from the emotions as they move through you and be able to actually self-advocate in a different way. And that will change everything. Emotions are not your enemy, even the hardest ones. They are not a weakness. They are wisdom that's disguised in unintegrated feelings. So our job is not to get rid of our emotions, but to learn to integrate them into wisdom, learn to listen to them and learn from them and be guided by how we need to shift in our lives by listening to them as tools or teachers. And the more that I've learned to use my emotions as guides, the more intentional I've become and the more sacred my life has felt and the more free life becomes to get to experience it in a whole new way. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for exploring the emotional navigation with me. If this episode resonated, please share it with someone that you know might be learning to ride those waves of emotions, to learning how to honor their full human experience. And remember that this is not about being perfect. It's about learning to be present, learning to pause, learning to get curious, learning to be human, remembering to be human. So until next time, use your breath, use your grounding abilities, phone a friend, and learn that it's actually okay to feel it all. It's taken me a long time to really navigate, but wow, it's so empowering and so impactful when you get to learn to use emotions as beautiful guideposts instead of being thrown in the sea of life. At the end of the month, at the end of August, I am going to be hosting a sacred community circle where we all get to get on this virtual Zoom meeting together and we'll talk about these topics, these concepts together. It's for all of my paid Substack subscribers. So if you're not a paying subscriber, you will not get the email invite. So if you would like to get the email and invite, please become a paid subscriber. I think it's like $80 total, or $120 if you want to be a founding member. And this way we can meet together, we can talk together, we can integrate together, and we can really start to weave in and do a lot of this work together. And it's so much better together. Really, truly, life is so much better when we can do this together. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to getting to see you hopefully in online virtual space soon. And until then, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye.